We're about to go live. Yep, we are. So now you need to be careful with everything you're saying, but not yet recording.
For a podcast noob, what's the difference?
Between live and recording?
Yeah.
Oh, recording. This is what will be then published on iTunes and all the places. But for the people who actually do watching live, and probably have started noticing how Dima have changed. And yes, that's the biggest difference. By the way, I don't know where he is. I pinged him, so maybe he's not joining. So let's just start the ball rolling. Yeah, but it's also a small bonus for the folks who listening live to listen to our pre-prep and things like that. Okay, almost ready to start recording. I have backup and the main one ready to roll. 3, 2, 1, let's roll. Okay, we are live, and welcome to the Non-Intuitive Beats podcast. And it's brought to you by the Leaders Club, that, by the way, you are the parts too if you're listening to us. But do consider elevating your status of the membership by joining Discord channel. You can find the Discord channel link in the podcast show notes on this YouTube podcast notes or wherever. And today in this virtual studio, we have several folks. Actually, quite literally 2 of us. Nishant Sharma, they want to say hi.
Hello, everyone. I'm Nishant. I work with Slava at Cruise. Slava is literally my boss, so I will do nothing but sing praises of Slava.
Okay, I'm not sure now. you know what to say, so then I will not know how to react. And yes, that's the second voice that you're hearing right now. That's more annoying voice. That's me, Slava. Yes, as usual. And Dmitry are seemingly not going to join. I don't know what have happened, but Dima, if you're listening to us, shame on you. We will note this and we will communicate this to your manager that you are no show without the what's the current definition, without the proper reason. Anyway, we have tons of the topics tonight to discuss, and for the warm-up, I have one that was added the last minute. I honestly cannot just bypass it, because my life personally will not be again the same. My friend, have you used on the macOS old tool that no longer even supported, that used to be named Mission Control?
I have not, but I've heard the name before. I'm trying to remember where. But I'll tell you, my MacBook history is literally 3 years.
Okay.
So if that tool is older than 3 years,
yes.
I would not know about it. I only have a Mac, and if I can divulge into a side story.
Sure, go for it.
Well, when I joined Cruise 6 years ago, I got a Linux laptop because I was a Linux fanatic, and coming out from college, I wanted to be able to customize everything. So after 3 years, the machine is slow and everything. So I've been pinging IT. It's like, hey, my refresh better be good. I need really good RAM, really good everything. But at Cruise, the defaults are Macs. And Linux go through like a special approval process, or at the time they did. So they had me wait like 5-6 months. They are like, at the same time, Cruise acquired the Munich office. So it was like, now we are standardizing across 2 offices. So wait a little bit more. So I waited. And during this time, the pandemic has started, and I now live quite a bit far from the office. So I make a special day out of it. Me and my wife will go stop by at the office. We'll return the laptop. They'll give me the new one. We'll, go on a date afterwards. I get there. They give me the laptop. This is supposedly the thing I've been waiting for the last 6 months. As I'm getting into the car and as we are about to drive away, I was like, I just want to quickly open it and see what they gave me. It's a Windows laptop. They have Windows booted on it. So I'm like, give me a minute. So I walk back, I hand them the thing, and they're like, well, the Linux laptop configuration that we can support actually is not the one, and I don't know how it got mixed up, but it's the config you requested. I was like, can I boot Linux on it? No. Well, can you boot Linux on it? It's like, yes. So we're like, okay, we'll go on a date, we'll pick it up afterwards. We come back and they're like, they talk to people and no one can support Linux on this thing. It's not officially supported by Dell on this machine, so we cannot do it. Now my options are to get back the same crappy laptop or get a Mac with the configuration that I had requested. So that's the day I got a Mac for the first time in my life.
Oh man. We have to do one day. We'll have to do an episode about must-have tools on the macOS. Looks like you might benefit of that episode.
I might.
But
tell me about Mission Control.
Yes, Mission Control is no longer exists. By the way, they have a Mission Control on the macOS for window managing. That's a different thing. But what used to be Mission Control, it was a very nice tool that allowed you to specify different actions on your machine depending on the context. So let me give you an example how I used to use this tool constantly. You can specify that unless you're on this LAN or on this Wi-Fi, switch on the proxy, VPN, sorry. Or unless in that particular time of the day, change the color shift to something. So this is a small thing that you need to be changing based on the context. And to be fair, VPN is the most useful for me. After that tool got completely got killed, I now have to memorize manually creating, opening VPN and establishing VPN connection each time when I'm working from the cafe or not from the home Wi-Fi. It's annoying. And literally 5 minutes before the show, someone pinged me this. So there is a tripod. It's effectively a shortcut trigger that doing this based on surroundings, based on whatever you want. You specifying the rules, and then based on the rules, you can trigger. So hopefully it will support my use case, at least the ability to switch VPN on when I'm not on a predefined list of Wi-Fi's or LAN connections. So yes, I haven't tried it. I just learned about it and added to show notes immediately. But yeah, I need to try it out.
This sounds quite useful. I have a friend in India who's pretty fanatic about this same thing. I don't remember the name of the app. I can probably talk to him and figure it out for the next episode. Very similar thing, as you know, and he adds location-based stuff because it's on the phone. So it's like, as I'm walking towards my home, like do XYZ with the home, and tons more stuff, and yeah, putting alarms on and calling people and whatnot. So this seems very similar to that, but with MacBooks. I like it. I may try it. Let me know how it goes.
Absolutely. Next time, that's on my to-do list. Next time, I will be trying that. And the small news that I wanted to share with people before we'll jump to the main part, Buzzsprouts, and this is the place where we actually uploading the podcast. It's like a service that intermediary between you're uploading podcasts and the rest of the world. It uploads to iTunes, Google Podcasts, and we are using it quite aggressively. They recently have introduced a new feature, trying to see if they have an advertisement somewhere. Magic Mastering, close but not. So the feature is effectively about using AI to fully transcribe your podcast. Create the show notes, suggest you a title, creates a timing of different parts of your podcast. The only downside, it costs $10 per month, I actually going to try it this month, and then I will just do it myself. We have enough knowledge in AI to just bootstrap that pipeline somewhere in our garage and replicate everything. But yes, it's looks to be a quite useful feature. We're going to try it with this very episode. So if you're listening in the recording and you like what you see from the perspective of show notes, that was done through the AI, and $10. What do you think about AIs, my friend? I don't know. I don't have any particular questions about this, but have you used something like that in the past?
Well, Fathom comes to mind. I've been using it pretty aggressively right now.
Fathom?
I think it's,
of course. Yes.
Fathom. I think it's Fathom. Yeah.
Tell me more. I obviously also know that's the tool now, but yes. Tell us why. Tell us, what is it? What is it?
Yeah, it seems like everyone right now is, trying to get some help with transcribing and summarizing what you have been talking about. One interesting thing about this tool, which is not necessarily the highlight of what they are selling you, but I find really interesting as a manager, it gives you every X minutes or so in the meeting, it tells you how much your talk time has been. So it tells me that if I'm speaking more than I personally want to, I have a KPI of not being speaking too much in every meeting. And I have been every time surprised how much I speak. The other thing it tells me is if I've been doing monologues. So you may be talking a lot because maybe it's a meeting you're hosting, maybe you're presenting. But then have you been doing monologues? Have you been basically not giving other people chances to speak? So far, 0 monologues. So I'm treating that KPI as a win. Okay, but going back to the tool's highlighted features are that you can take notes. It does a pretty good job of transcribing. We went through some tongue twisters at it, and it did a pretty good job recognizing those and clearly transcribing those. And as the person who is taking note, it frees you up from typing as you are thinking and participating in the meeting, which is a pretty powerful win. If you are in a lot of meetings on a daily basis, you don't have to worry about note taking. I'm still trying to get out of the habit of also taking notes live while having Fathom in a meeting. The things that it does for you afterwards, it gives you a transcript and the AI summarizes it. But at the same time, it gives you option to tell it what kind of meeting it is. So then if you tell it that it's a stand-up, then it will automatically summarizes everyone's update as in what they did yesterday. What are they doing today? Do they have any blockers? Or if you say this was a demo, then it will summarize it differently. If it was a different kind of meeting, a sales pitch, then it summarizes that differently. So it has like 10, 20 options for you to select after the fact. And then the AI goes back and re-summarizes the video to be in an output format that you would expect typically of a meeting like that, which is a pretty powerful feature. And during the meter, you can also tell the AI that this is a highlight. Remember this specially, and then it just takes a note of that timestamp. You have to be careful though. If you mark a highlight as soon as the conversation starts, you're doing it wrong because the AI is trained to look at the previous conversations, because technically the way it's supposed to work is a discussion is happening and you just go, oh, this was a highlight, click on it. So it goes back and creates the highlight. Mm-hmm. It goes back and creates an action item. You're not supposed to hit highlight as soon as the discussion starts because who knows, maybe that's not actually going to be a highlight. And I think at this point, Fathom would be telling me that I'm speaking too much. So I'm going to shut up.
But to be fair, I wanted to address one particular thing. So the way how it works, it's Fathom creates an AI agent that can be added to almost any meeting. Obviously, your secure group need to approve this, and your company decided you're doing that. But it doesn't matter. I think they support Zoom, they support Google Meets, maybe something else. I don't remember. But you're effectively adding this virtual agent to your call that will be actively listening, provide you some controls. It's a pretty nice tool. It's, I I think maybe you and I are safe, but in 5 or 6 generation of the managers from us, probably this will be manager as a service that you're subscribing a company to, and you don't need any managers at all. They, they will be literally providing the feedback tasks to everyone, and I can clearly see this is happening. It's eventually.
Yeah, the AI can automatically approve or reject your vacation requests. Just like, you're taking too many vacations. What's going on? Rejected.
Yep.
But anyways, I found out one very interesting thing. In the settings of Fathom, it actually has an option to not have the AI bot join the meeting. I have not tried it, but I believe if you check that option, then AI bot will not join, and they say that now you are responsible for asking for consent. The reason they have this AI bot thing is not to do the recording, it's to get around consent laws on recording.
I see. So it's effectively because
so if the bot is...
Yeah. Got it. I didn't know that.
If the bot is participating in the meeting, then it can record. But if it's not participating in the meeting, then you are responsible for letting everyone know that this is a recorded line, and you do that. But by the bot being present in the meeting, it goes around some consent. Oh, that's the loophole, I guess. Yeah, so you can actually be recording and making this transcript without the knowledge of other participants if you are a malicious person.
And the fun part that in this bright future, if you have manager as a service, that's actually an AI bot, not the real human, you finally will get to the point where you can tell your manager anything you want without afraid of being fired. And the virtual managers will just listen to you and patiently, and will not be abused or will not think anything bad, and this will have zero influence on your future. Yes, it's an interesting future that we might soon will find ourselves in.
Every company that has a psychological safety KPI will go to the roof.
Yes. We have our several internal chatbots, and today I told one of our internal chatbots that I hate it, and it responded by saying, "Hello, Vyacheslav," in response, and it was a really weird behavior. But anyway. Okay. So this was another small thing before we going to the main one. I actually wanted in the beginning to speak about games, because I recently on one of the weekends have installed a new game from Software, which is Armored Core 6. I don't know how many people played it, heard about it, know about it. Do you know, Nishant, about Armored Core overall as a franchise?
No idea. Tell me.
Okay, do you know about Elden Ring or Souls games?
I have heard of them. I have not played them.
Okay. So this is kind of Elden Ring and the Souls games is a big deal in the gaming industry. The whole idea there that the company went back to the driving board, so to speak, and tried to reinvent games and make them fun in the way that used to be fun when the first Mario went out. And what they effectively did is, even though it's, if you look on the Elden Ring, for example, what they did, they created a game that has normal graphics. It's beautiful, it's amazing, it's huge. But the mechanics of the game actually bringing back that nostalgia from that days, because it's really complex. You can be spending hours and hours of trying to bypass one of the bosses, and you cannot, do it modern game style and just increasing your stats, leveling up, and then killing everyone with one shot. That just does not work. You have to figure out the boss. You have to analyze how the boss moves, figuring out the strategy, and 10 hours later, maybe you will kill that boss. And the way how they trying to make it close to that reality of those old days, they effectively introducing points where you can save yourself. And if you killed, you're resurrected from the nearest save point, and all the enemies are resurrected as well. So while this is an open world game, it creates you feeling like you have a levels and you have to survive up to the checkpoint. If you fail, you will have to go all the way back on the previous checkpoint, try to go to that part of the map again, and maybe this time you will go a little bit further. So it's everything from the open world with that feeling of nostalgia of those games where we used to play. Everything that I said was from Software, so Armored Core is not like that completely. And when you expect something from Software, you expect everything they just describe. Armored Core is a really weird game. It's a game where you have a classical levels and you need to build a huge robot, and the whole mechanics is all about how you build that robot, because each level you can tune it a little bit to make it suitable for that specific level. I know I found it boring. I played maybe half an hour and then asked for a refund, and that was it. That was all my experience with Armored Core 6. So I would not recommend you unless you know what you're getting into. If you are the gamer, because it's an old series, so there is plenty people who played Armored Core 5 and 4, though they might be having Alzheimer at this age, because it's a really old game. So yes, okay, so that's a warm up. It is. By the way, my friend, are you playing games? And if yes, what's your favorite?
Oh God, I. Hands down, I installed 3 years ago Steam again when I built my desktop.
Okay.
I have over 3,000 hours in CS:GO since then.
In what?
Counter-Strike Go.
Oh, CS:GO, of course. Okay.
So, and they are coming out with CS2, which is Steam's. What is that engine called? I forgot. Valve has a Source 2. Yeah, so Source 2 is their new engine, which is not 20 years old. So they rebuilt Dota on it a few years back, and that was really successful. So they are now doing Counter-Strike on it. So Counter-Strike is about to get a rework done. It's in beta right now. A lot of people have access to it. Seems like going well. So anyways, so yeah, I have 3,000 something hours on this game. That's the only game I've been playing. And for the same reasons that you said, like it never gets old. Like I'm playing with new people. If I'm getting better, the people I'm playing with are getting better. That's how their matchmaking works. So it's always challenging. It's always fun. And embarrassingly so, if some people may think, I've spent more than 80% of those 3,000 hours on one map. So,
oh my God!
So like I know that map like anything in my life, and that's the only map I'm really good at. So any other map, you'll be like, what a noob. But that map, I can give you a challenge. But right now I have not been playing because I'm only carrying a measly ThinkPad around with me on my trip. And gaming is pretty much on pause right now.
Got it. I only, from these type of the games, I only played a little bit on Rainbow. This is like a game where you're playing for police squad, the versus terrorists usually. And I'm that piece of shit that, would come to the door, would look in a small, the hole in that door where you can see only 1 pixel, take a shotgun, and then wait for 5 minutes until that 1 pixel will go from white to black, because this means someone on the other side of the door, click on the left button of the mouse, and that's about it. And everyone would hate me for that. So that was fun for the first several rounds, and then I got bored, and I haven't played again. But since we keep talking about the game, Starfield is the one that finally got out. Starfield is a game from Bethesda that built Fallout, that built Elden. What they built? I forgot what Bethesda built. Skyrim, Fallout 4, and they finally have released Starfield, which is also only available on PC and Xbox. So far, they have released a special Constellation edition that effectively allows you to buy a game 5 days before the full release, so not everyone can play it in just yet. But what I found amusing and why I'm saying, so this Constellation edition that you can buy upfront and start playing 5 or so days before the full final release costs $300, has tons of the interesting stuff inside, but this is $300 only if you're playing on the Xbox. If you're playing on the PC and you want to order PC version, it costs $600. I don't know why. It's exactly same game. Yes, exactly. Can I open Amazon without logging it? Because I can show it live. I'm not bullshitting anyone. So let's go to Starfield Constellation. And when you're going on that in Amazon, or you don't, where is the Constellation Edition? Constellation Edition when you need it. So when when you have it, it gives you options. So Xbox costs roughly $396 and PC costs $589, which exactly same things, just for the different platform. So here we go. I don't know, maybe it's Microsoft pushing their Xbox platform so much, and that's the whole reason, or why they're doing so. But and obviously no PlayStation. That's the moment why I bought Xbox. I was waiting this moment to tell everyone with a PlayStation that I have it and you don't.
Yeah, it would not surprise me if that was very intentional to get people to buy Xbox. Just prices to say like, hey, you can spend $600 on this, or you can take those $400 and put it towards an Xbox and then buy the game for cheaper.
Yep. Exactly. Yes. What else on the gaming side? Actually, yeah, let's do more games today. Why the hell not? There is a big things in the console world around me, especially in the Xbox world. So the last big console update, especially from the Xbox, has 2 consoles available for the customers: Xbox Series X and Xbox Series S. So they look roughly like that. X and S is a smaller edition, so to speak. Wide, smaller is the S. And S has a lower CPU, lower GPUs. Everything is smaller. And the idea was that the whole idea was that if you're buying Xbox S, what you're getting exactly same games that Xbox X, but with a smaller resolution. Not 4K, but maybe like full HD or HD, and instead of 60 frames per second, you will be getting 30, so to speak. That was the idea. No one actually believed in it. Everyone understood that because the hardware is so slower and not as powerful as X, that eventually the games will be published only to one of those. But unfortunately, Microsoft was constantly pushing, saying that if you even want to publish a game to the Xbox, you have to have a feature parity on your game. You cannot just release a game that will work on Xbox Series X, but will not on Series S, or will have a feature limited edition, so to speak. And it was working until Baldur's Gate 3. So the Baldur's Gate 3, the first game that finally they pushed Microsoft, saying that they either going to bypass Xbox completely, they will not release there, or the Microsoft will allow them to start cutting out features from the cheaper version, which is Xbox Series S. And the Microsoft effectively agreed to that. So the Baldur's Gate going to be released on the Xbox exactly because they completely removed split screen from S. So on the Xbox Series S, you cannot do split screen, you cannot play on the couch split screen, but you will be able to do it on X. This is the thing, and if the PlayStation and Nintendo Switch would do the same, they can, because they are number 1 and number 2 respectively in the console edition. But when you're Microsoft with Xbox and your main customer is Slava, and probably this is it, maybe two more people who actually bought Xbox instead of the PlayStation, that's really weird. That's really weird move. But nevertheless, things are changing. With that, my friend, I see that you have added several topics. Do you want to chat about it?
Well, I'm sure this audience may be a little bit more in tune to the bigger games, but I wanted to share a couple more that I have played. One of them is Polybridge 2. This is a game where you basically get a lot of challenges and you have to figure out the physics of building a bridge. And if you play this, so you basically like build bridges using different materials, and then they drive cars and buses across this, and they like, you can even switch to a mode that shows you the stress levels of like every beam as things drive. And as you can see, like ships will be passing, so you need a bridge that opens and closes. Sometimes you have to do trick shots, and people get really creative with these bridges, as you can see.
Oh yes.
So it's a really stupid but very fun game. Yeah, you have these kind of levels where you have to like get different people to different levels. So it's fun.
Man, I have played in Polybridge 1. I remember it. It was amazing.
Yes, it is a lot of fun for how simple the concept is.
When was it released? Oh my god, the Polybridge 2 was released 2020, 3 years ago. I have missed that. Shame on me. Maybe there is already Polybridge 3? Oh yes,
Maybe.
there is a Polybridge 3.
Just came out this year. I did not even know that.
Oh my god. Here we go. Anyway, okay. Anything else about this game?
And I not necessarily about this game. I think everyone should explore 1, 2, or 3. Either version is pretty insane. There is another gaming company I want to touch on if we are talking games. It's SCS Soft, and this is a really tiny company based in Europe, and I know about them because I used to play Euro Truck Simulator too. All my masters this was my pastime. Get in a truck, drive around, and do that until my laptop got too overheated. I don't know why. It's a stupidly simple game. You just drive around in a truck. The thing that they were really interesting is how they simulated tiredness. Like as a driver in the truck, they will like start shutting down your eyes. You'll be yawning and stuff. But the things I started looking more into the company back then. They only make truck simulation games, and they actually rent out the trucks. Every truck model that's in the game, they actually rent it out. They drive it around and record the sound with like different gears, with different things. Like it's a pretty good. Like they are very invested in this. And then they launched American Truck Simulator, which like the nice thing is you get to see the whole map of the country. You basically drive around and you get to see how like these different countries are connected. You can take ferries. You can take your truck on a ferry if you are in UK and go to Europe in a ferry, and now you have to drive on the other side of the street. You have to remember that. You get speeding tickets and everything. I wonder if they ended up cutting UK to Europe access after Brexit. I don't know.
Or you have to pay extra money to have that expansion.
Yeah, the toll went up.
Yes. It's this
was.
Go ahead.
No, this was my first experience to DLCs because they started with Europe, but they didn't have East Europe yet. So then they like started releasing DLCs, and then you can keep expanding your map that you had access to. So this was the game when I first found out about DLCs.
This reminds me two things. First of all, I probably will not be able to find it quickly right now because I was not ready, but there is a hilarious video where the guy in American truck, like real American truck, the guy who is doing real duty as a truck driver with American trucks that usually have compartments behind where you can sleep. like recording the video on the TikTok saying, oh, I had a hard day, I need to relax, I have my gaming setup here. So he moves there, he has a gaming setup with a proper steering wheel where he opened a Euro truck and start driving truck over there, through the whole day. Like, it's just hilarious. Yes.
That is pretty hilarious. I've seen those setups at home. I've never seen one in a truck itself. That is next level commitment.
Yes.
The funny thing about this game was that your real goal was to build an empire of trucking logistic companies. So eventually you make enough money, you buy some trucks, you get some drivers, and eventually there's enough positive stream coming in that you don't need to yourself take job anymore. So you can just sit in a truck and keep driving it around empty. And at that point, the game becomes like pretty meaningless. Like now you have like the I don't know, unless you want to like get very capitalistic about it. The game kind of loses its meaning once there's enough trucks that you have bought, and now you can just keep buying more every week.
On that specific note, and a similar game with similar experience, but different angle, so to speak. And honestly, the reason why I bought Xbox in the first place and not PlayStation, which is Microsoft Flight Simulator. Microsoft Flight Simulator, I love it. And when they announced a new one, obviously, I jumped into it. And obviously, they mentioned that it only will be available on the PC, Xbox. So that was the reason why I bought Xbox. But this is a closer game to that experience, because in reality, that it's even... when you look on it, it's fun, it's beautiful, no question there. It's amazing. But you can either actually learn how to fly through it, or you can fly there. And either of them is boring. It's extremely boring if you are not into flying. There is nothing there. In fact, Truck Simulator probably even more interesting because you have quests. You're driving for money. You have goods. You have money. You can upgrade trucks. Here is nothing. They give you, here's all the airplanes. Take any from the beginning. You don't have to work on them. Just pick whatever you want at the beginning. And now it's a meaningless mod that exactly you mentioned. You can fly, but unless only if you want to learn how to fly. Otherwise, there is no need to add anything. But the fun part, add-on as passenger. So they actually release an add-on that allows you to effectively be a passenger. Allows you to play as passenger, because again, this is a flight simulator. You literally can simulate that 10 hours flight from point A to point B, and at some point they release DC that allow you to actually be a passenger and sit 10 hours on your own flight from the passenger seat. Where is this? I wanted to show at least one picture of that mod. It's obviously completely useless. There's no one going to play Flight Simulator like that. But nevertheless, they release it, so you can if you want to spend 10 hours of your life.
Man, this is pretty impressive because I know Microsoft Flight Simulator is a successful product. That means there's enough people there might be enough people who use it to train themselves, but there might also be a reasonable size pool that are just doing it to do it. There's no quest, there's no feeling of a game. It would be pretty nice if Microsoft then allowed you to start as a passenger, pretend there is an emergency, and then go into the cockpit and start flying. That would be pretty interesting.
Yep. To be fair, they do plan to allow you, but they do plan to introduce some missions, so to speak, small missions here and there. It will be new for Microsoft because they recently have announced Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024, and honestly, that should have been just DLC, just an upgrade on the previous one. I honestly didn't know why they proceed that route, because the thing about flight simulators, it's a platform on top of which you're building. Like the closest competitor, X-Plane 12 or 11, for example, and again, this is the closest competitor. Just to give perspective how big that platform is, many of the flying school actually have a fully licensed cockpit that's using X-Plane under the hood as the software, and they just train you on my school have exactly explained. So nothing prevent them to certify Flight Simulator. Microsoft Flight Simulator do the same. But the key here, if you're building platform, you have to keep supporting it. So you cannot do this shit where, each year you have a brand new thing that drops into it. No, you have to have a Counter-Strike Go more like a model when once in a blue moon, once in 1,000 years, you maybe will upgrade it.
Oh, and even then, they are making it backward compatible. So if you bought any skins, if you bought any like special things, the knives and stuff, they're all moving on to CS2 because they invested so much in the community building the game that they are respecting that. So I 100% agree that Microsoft needs to do the same. What Microsoft thing reminds me more of the money grab that EA does with FIFA. It's the same game year over year, and they just slap a new title and a new photo, and then there you go.
Yep, because fuck you. That's why. That's a real reason.
Yes.
We all know you will pay for that thing. Yes.
Exactly. Someone online on Reddit I was reading was complaining that chips have gotten too expensive. Does anyone know why? And the top response was because we fools keep buying it at expensive prices, so they just keep raising it.
Yeah. You want a brand new experience, what you get is the same experience with more money that you have to pay. Yes.
Yeah.
It is what it is. Anyway, that was so we just concluded our warm-up that was supposedly should have took 10 minutes max, but we're now at our 40 minutes. We actually should slowly go to second part. I will actually move to the main part. I will not cover everything, but I want at least to show one thing. How to spell assistant AI. I think this is the correct one. Nope. So for everyone who listening to us, I'm trying to spell assistant AI. Jesus, GitHub assistant AI, and let it autocorrect for me. Yes, assistant goes like that. So several weekends ago, I finally wrote one of the tool based on another tool. So I have this tool that called Jess, which is full short name from Jessica, which is my personal CLI tool that I'm using for different needs when I'm interacting with GPT. It's effectively GPT client on steroids. And what I mean by that is it supports ability to, since it's CLI tool, it's locally on network. So you effectively can say to ChatGPT, here is my URL that I want you to read, and here is my local file, and go on that URL that have documentation of how API works that I'm using this local file, and tell me why it doesn't work. So because it has all the things from your local network, your file, it can do that shit and it's actually give you a result. So for me, it's a quite useful thing. I implemented support of GPT-4, 3, Palm, which is Bard from Google, slowly working on introducing Llama from Facebook, slowly, but we'll introduce eventually. It has some community, but recently we have released a JustP. And JustP is a simple tool that allows you in Unix to pipe. So in other words, it allows you to do stuff. Let me go on my Twitter. I have a screenshot there. Jesus, you have to be logged in on the Twitter. Oh my God. Okay, I don't have a README. It's a proper open source product, no README, nothing. But effectively what you can do, you can say something like cat, the name of the file, some blah, 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 JSON, then you can pipe, and I'm trying to type it on my browser page just to show theoretically how it might look like. They can say JSON-P and have a prompt for the tool that's saying remove all item that has some property, something. You can tell whatever you want to do with the results, and obviously pipe everything back to the result.json. This saves me tons of the time. I'm start forgetting now grep syntaxes. Everywhere where I used to grep or other shitty tool like that, it's so much better. We can tell in a normal human language, find me something that looks like blah, or this is regex, and that just works. I don't know. I'm not selling it because it's just a tool that I wrote. I'm selling it because it's improved my life drastically, and I would suggest anyone to try it. It's really, really nice. That was a minute of self-promotion. What do you think, my friend?
Oh, I'm very impressed with this. Great productivity booster for tons of engineers. I can easily tell. Like, I can even think, like, not gonna call it out here, but I can see how even crews can benefit from this so much. Certain teams definitely more than others, but for sure. I was just imagining some use cases myself. If I don't always keep up with networking and whatnot, and I was wondering if I am setting up a new Nextcloud instance and I want to change some configuration, I can just tell it to do that rather than parse through tons and tons of Nextcloud config. I can be like, here's the folder. Well, maybe not directly with pipe today, but like an eventual thing. Here's the folder where Nextcloud is. I want you to go find the config file that has this, change the configurations to that, and I'm done. So I think the future is here.
On that part, so this is just JSP, this is a mod, but probably next episode, because we don't have enough time, the full Jessica actually support what is known as auto mod. And the most frequent and common use case that they're showing through auto mod. So what is auto? Since this is a tool that have access to your local files, this tool can have a chain of thoughts. So it knows that it can call different set of commands, specifically ls, cat, edit, delete, create on your file system. So you can give it a task, and what it does, it in cycle have a short-term memory, and it effectively asks, here is a given the commands, here is a task from user, here is a short-term memory, what do you want me to do? So, okay, show me a list of files. Okay, now show me cat of that file. So in each step, it updates a short-term memory, and it emits an action. And as a result, you actually can do this stuff like that, because one of the use cases that I'm showing constantly when I showing how the tool works is exactly that. I am asking on one of my projects, I'm asking it to add a step that creates build of Jessica for Windows. So it goes, it has to figure out, okay, here, this is a Go project, find the cloud build YAML, figure out what the language it's implemented, add the step, and all this you cannot do in a normal ChatGPT because you cannot put everything in one context. It has to go file by file, build the short-term memory with everything it needs. It's I wish I would tell you that it works all the time. It's a work in progress still, specifically after, but yes, that's exactly what it's capable already. For the stuff like write me a readme.md for my GitHub, where it has to go file by file, learn what you're doing, create a readme.md, or add me a build step in my CI system, where again, it needs to figure out what language you're using, where is the CI and how it works. It already more or less works. But unfortunately for now, it works like 2 out of 10 times. And when it works, it's like, wow, you're realizing feature is here, but then you try it again, even without changing anything, just trying again exactly the same setup, and it might go infinity loop of chain of thoughts. Like, oh, I see that file, that, and then just cycle around. But nevertheless, this is a full version. So that specific JSP is my attempt to start cutting out a very predictable use cases that you can use 100% of the time. It will work exactly as you expected. Because in that specific use case with JSP, I actually designed a prompt that has to tell OpenAI, do not include any explanations. You are the part of the pipe, you have to produce the results that will be piped in the output file. And actually not trivial. It took me quite a while to figure out that prompt that works all the time predictably, and you actually now can use. So under the hood, it will combine your prompt with that pre-prompt, and that's why it's worked. Because if you will just give input of the file and then this command, ChatGPT will start to explain you, oh, here is how I derived this answer, and stuff like that. So yes. Next time, probably when we have more time, we'll tell way more about the Jessica, because it's already have a decent community with like 5 people contributing to it and actually actively using. Under the hood, using OpenAI API, which means that you have a terms of service that tells that they are not storing anything that you're going through the API. They're not training their own model, so it's enterprise friendly. And the only downside, to make it meaningful, you have to use GPT-4. And if you're using Auto, it's doing tons of the call to GPT-4. So I shit you not, I have a days when I would be spending $30 per day on just open API calls, just for debugging these things. And so it's not cheap. Let's put it this way. So I'm waiting Llama, impatiently waiting Llama to arrive. Tell me, my friend, what is your favorite AI tool?
What is my favorite AI tool?
Of course.
I mean, I don't really have one. Is that a legit answer?
No, that's not acceptable answer. Copilot. Are you using it like that?
So my team's using it, and I'm hearing some really good stuff about it right now. One of the engineers basically started by writing a talk string of their function, and then Copilot basically completed the function for them as soon as they write def. And it was largely correct, so I was pretty impressed by it. So it's something I'm looking to try out next. As one of the like fun things, but I haven't really tried anything. While I'm on this trip, I'm basically, everything is on pause. I'm just enjoying life outside of work and not dealing with tech. So it's kind of working out.
On that specific note, I just realized that I never asked you that question. What the trip you are on right now? Because I know about it, but it's actually so fascinating that maybe it's a nice, wind down topic for the last 10 minutes or so that we have left. Do you want to share?
Yeah, I don't mind sharing. Let me find you a link if you want to pull up a link.
Of course,
screen.
Yes. Yeah, so for the listeners, Nishant has went on quite a long trip. So he's working remotely, and that trip, and with that, while opening the link, microphone back to you, my friend, and I'm going to open the link.
Yeah, so last year, my wife and I had some plans to moving near Sacramento and kick off a thing. My wife was interested in building a business there. That fell through, and we had spent the last 2 years renovating the house we lived in. So we were just kind of looking to do something different than being in a place. And she always wanted to travel. I have not seen most of the US despite being here for almost a decade now. So the idea blew up that, hey, what if we just travel for a while? She recently had gotten a fully remote job. Cruise allowed us to be remote. So she has another one of the maps that you're presenting where it's the full trip as planned. And this is where we have been. So if you zoom in, you can see all the places, all the large places we have hit along the way. So in March, we kicked it off in December. Mm-hmm. Sold my motorcycles on January 1st, and mine and hers. And then we took January to March to basically sell off anything that wasn't of value to us to keep, because we didn't want to pay for storage, because we were just we will restart when we finish this trip. So by March, we basically got down to a size that can fit in an SUV. And anything else of value, we basically put at her parents' place. So they have a little bit of our stuff. And we kicked off this 2-year trip. So the trip is expected to end in December of next year. We are basically jumping around Airbnb to Airbnb in a state. The primary goal of the trip is to hit as many national parks as we can reasonably hit. The secondary goal is to every city that we go to, we want to explore the city reasonably. We don't want to be in the city for a week where you are rushing through experiencing the culture and not really seeing the downsides of things. Mm-hmm. So this way, for example, Chicago.
Wait. Are you saying there is a downside in San Francisco?
No, anyways. San Francisco is the best city ever.
Sorry, please continue. Yes.
Yeah, so just as an example, there were a couple of cities that looked really good on week 1. But then we kind of realized, this is not a place for us. for long term.
Example. You
visit
have
again.
now to tell an example.
Well, the example would be Chicago. And Chicago was a roller coaster because we went into Chicago with the idea that it's really unsafe. So we had pretty low expectations. We got there, felt pretty good. When we explored it for week 1, awesome. But as we explored more, it kind of just felt very superficial. Like I would have thought like nothing can be as superficial as San Francisco, but Chicago definitely beat it. Most of the restaurants have a default 20% tip on top of the food, and then you have to pay taxes on it.
Wait, but
the service definitely.
aren't that better? I would really prefer to have a predictable tips included, so I don't have to bother.
I agree. I would rather just have a no tip policy and the menu price is higher.
Yep.
If that's what you're trying to do, that's how I would do it. But because you're trying to do it the tip route, then I expect a certain level of service because now you have made it that I'm paying for the service, not for the food. And the service, almost in every restaurant that had this policy, was bad.
I mean, because it's socialism, everyone are equal, right? They will get 20% irrespectively of how they're treating you.
Yeah, so I didn't like that. I'm glad other cities are not following it. At first, we thought maybe inflation is hitting hard, and like every city will like be adopting something. It turned out it's a very Chicago thing. I would say food was pretty reasonable in a few places. Rick Bailey's, Frontera Grill would recommend to everyone. But best city so far, I would say, is Boston. Very expensive.
Really?
Open Boston and open the map view and open the transit view.
Okay, I'm going to map view, and actually I need to go from maps.google.com, then let's go to Boston, and let's go to transit view if I would remember how to do it.
Layers at the bottom.
Oh, transit.
At the bottom there's a...
Oh, okay. I click at the bottom at the layers.
So
yes, I see. Yes.
Yeah, and then there's a
transit. Okay, and let's go back all the way.
Put it back on the map layer, so it's not the satellite view, so you can really appreciate. Look at that.
There is nothing.
Look at those transit lines. Look at these transit lines.
Wait, but are you saying there is a lot of them or there is nothing there?
There's a lot of them. Like look at the green, the purple, like.
It's somewhere in between San Francisco and New York. I still would not say that it's as good as in New York from my subjective view on that. But yes, more than SF.
More than SF and better than New York in terms of how it's maintained.
I see.
And the experience you get miles above. So it's kind of like, it's not as dense as New York and it's not as sparse as, but it's like the overall experience, hands down, the best I've had.
Okay, so let's go on the red fin. How much did property cost there in Boston?
Oh, you don't want to look at it.
Come on, I'm from Bay Area. Nothing can scare me.
All right.
7 million.
Parking spots in downtown Boston are $500,000. Parking spots. You can buy a parking spot for $500,000.
Okay, let's go and see. Is it anything less than 300,000? You can buy a 300,000 in the downtown.
Go to downtown and open any of these. Those are not houses, those are parking spots.
That is hilarious, but I think you're absolutely right. That is a parking spaces. Oh my God, Jesus. Oh my God. But to be fair, in San Francisco, the parking space, they hit a new record. There is 500,000 parking space in the downtown San Francisco. Okay, what about suburb? So tell me, where is the most desired suburb in Boston to live in? So, maybe something that's affordable.
I mean, I'm not as good, as well versed in Boston geographics, yes, but how about let's look at Cambridge. Cambridge is like
Cambridge, okay.
pretty.
Is it spelled with kilo or Charlie?
It's with a C. Yeah, it's with a Charlie. It's right there on the map too, if you want to just zoom in. It's a little left of downtown.
Okay, there is nothing there for 300k. Like, let's say 500.
I doubt
Oh my
you'll
God.
find anything.
Yes,
maybe.
yes, you know, there is something, this one, studio for 500,000. Jesus. Oh my God.
It's super insane. Like I would say, like this Boston so far, like you can see where I've been on the map. Boston by far is the best city. Like it's very walkable. Like insanely walkable. If you go to downtown, the blocks are smaller because these are blocks before cars were invented. So the blocks are super small. So that means the surface area of shops and everything is almost double. So you can walk quite a bit in a very small time, and you have tons to see. Everything good, like quality is really better compared to SF streets, but it's just insanely priced.
Got it. Interesting. Okay.
You know, one thing I learned is back in 1700s, or could have been as soon as 1920s. Boston map, if you open like a Boston 1700 map, the map is very different. This is something I learned while walking the Freedom Trail here, is that Bostonians were leaving and moving to suburbs to build big, beautiful houses. So Boston realized that it didn't want to lose its rich people. So they literally extended the Boston by moving soil and expanding Boston so people can stay here and build their houses here and not somewhere else. There was decades and decades they built block by block into the sea. So it was that's how they changed pretty much the map of the area. Because if you have heard that Paul Revere had to flag whether Britishers were coming by sea or coming by water, that story does not make sense because it's a river. It's not a sea, but it used to be a sea. They put so much soil in that it's pretty much a river in that area where it was a sea back then.
Got it. Amazing story. Okay. So you told about the best and it's not politically correct to say the worst, but suboptimal. You told about the cities with infinite potential to be improved, and with Boston, and about Boston. What else? What else is strikes you on your trip so far?
You know, nothing is as bad as the media tells you.
Media? What?
I mean, I'm saying nothing is as bad as the media tells you, right? Like that's what I'm
media.
saying.
Yeah.
It's a like I would recommend everyone gets out and like see others for a change. What else stuck out? Montana is expensive than what I would have thought it would be. Like look up Bozeman, Montana, if you're looking for prices.
Oh, of course. Let's go. Bozeman, how to spell it?
Boze and then MAN.
Bozeman, Montana. Got it. Okay. So,
Beautiful. It's Bay Area prices for Montana. It's insane.
Okay, let's do my usual test. 300,000. Can you? Ooh, you have a. you have a tent. I'm not joking. For everyone who are listening us and recording, you have a tent. They pictured a tent for $300,000. A tent. Oh my God, Jesus! Lot for 300K. Yeah, that makes sense. Tons of the lot for 300K, but nothing else. Okay.
Beautiful area, but I was like, we just looked at prices and it was like, this is insane.
I mean, usually areas like that, they're for the sake of after you have retired. you go there. You're buying your house, and sure, you can sell 1.5 million house in Bay Area. You can buy a million house there, and you have $500,000 your nest, so to speak, in cash, and then you can do whatever you want, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah, this could be one of those cities. Some things that the locals told us was that two things happened. A couple of really rich people moved in, bought a couple of ranches, and then started advertising the place. So that brought in more people. And the second thing that happened, it was the show Yellowstone. The Yellowstone show is based around that area that during pandemic gave everyone the idea that they want to live near nature and all of that. And since then, it has been pretty crazy. And now that the show has ended, it's Yellowstone is pretty close. The national park is like a 3-hour drive from Bozeman.
What is Yellowstone show? Because it showed me the TV series on IMDb. What is the Yellowstone?
Yeah, Yellowstone is also a show that came out on, I believe, HBO. It's a really famous show.
Is it really
I've
good?
seen the first episode of this. I was pretty intrigued. I just haven't had the time to get back to it because I'm watching other things. So I would recommend it.
Got it. Anyway, it's obviously one of the questions. What else are you watching right now? But that we will discuss in next episode. I think we're hitting 1 hour mark. So I think, if you don't mind, my friend, let's stop here. We have a nice segue
Sounds
to the
good.
future. Do you have anything you want to say to the listeners? We just restarted the show. We now have 300-400 people listening per episode. Do you want to say anything to 300-400 people?
I just want to say thank you for listening to me. This is my first podcast. I have not seen anyone screaming in chat. So thank you. And send your invites to or questions to Slava if you have anything that you would want to know about the trip, any logistical stuff on how to plan one yourself. I'm not doing a blog. I'm not doing a video blog. A lot of people ask me, I'm like, I have enough of a job. I don't want a second one. But I would answer any questions if anyone has anything. Thanks.
Yeah,
thank you for having me, Slava.
Oh, absolutely. And you came first time, you're the guest. You will came second time, you will be a permanent co-host. So you just need to came second time to become officially permanent co-host. With that, everyone, thank you, and I will see you next time, same place, same time. See you. Okay, just a reminder, we're still live. I'm going to render the episode, save it somewhere, and do mumbo jumbo with uploading. You don't have to stay around. It's up to you. I usually stay around until it's fully uploaded. This time there was almost 0 listeners live. So these 400 or 500, these are people who download it. Usually we have like up to 10 people who actually listen live. Really, the people are from Eastern Europe, and for them, that's night. There is not that many listeners to US right now. It is what it is. Let me save the...
I think I saw at least one person listening live last time and commenting, and
Yep.
I know there was some interaction.
We need to do much better job on promoting when we're starting, so people can chime in, so to speak. The idea in the long run to build Discord community where people can come, we can do hackathon, we can do other things, not just show and build a small community, so to speak, of people. That worked really nice when we did it last time. We'll see how it will work.
Yeah, totally. All right.
Okay.
How long does it take?
To upload and merge. You don't have to stay if there's a question, but usually it takes maybe 10 minutes, 5 minutes. So Yeah, I'm uploading right now actually. But this is the first time I will be looking how co-host AI doing that.
Oh yeah, the whole transcribe thing.
Yeah, it might take longer. Anyway, yeah, let's probably start here because looks like it will take longer. The progress bar is incredibly small. Thank you for stopping by. I will hopefully you will stop by next time.
I'm definitely